so excited to see you today.
I am much more excited to see you than what you're excited to see.
I don't know about that, because listen, you are the first person that I'm interviewing for my new show called Life by Design. And it's entrepreneurs from the bottom up. I want everyone to know what you've done so they can learn from you and be inspired by you. And you're just gonna wake them up and wanna make them take action, open a business.
Let's do it. Let's do
it.
Let's pour everything out and talk about this.
Exactly, I'm gonna take everything from your brain and give it to you guys. Tell us your story.
So we're friends. So we were talking about this a million times. I mean, she pretty much knows my story, but every time I feel like I'm perfecting my story. The story was still, I'm building it in my head. How did I get where I got? So in a short way, I started my first company with $375 in 2004. And recently I sold, it's a second exit company for 500 million. And I was grossing roughly 500 million in sales per year as well. So it's a journey that I took in the last 20 years. And I'm still asking myself, how the heck did I get to it? Because it's not obvious, and I still can't believe it's not a dream. Because my mother was a living au pair. I came down from Israel after the military. And while I was there, my mom was living here, taking care of old people. We had no place to live. And in time, you start building one step at a time. Your first company and the second company, and you find out that skills that you acquired in the first business are very instrumental to a second business, and large competitors don't know those. So you kind of keep retaining that information, and the journey gets more and more interesting in time, and eventually you are where you are in life.
I mean, I love your story. I mean, you're really from the bottom up. $375, and you go from 0 to 500 million. Mm-hmm. So tell us about that.
So when I started the first company, it wasn't because I was the entrepreneur guy in class buying and selling stuff. I was not. So it was a necessity for me to stay legal in the United States. I was an international student. I had to stay full-time, get the right grades, otherwise I lose my status. But I also had to pay out-of-state tuition, which is expensive. Make a long story short, you're not allowed to get a job, but you are allowed to open a business and take a role. That's how it all started. And I was trying to figure out how I can buy and sell something, how I can make something out of nothing. And it took me about a year until I found the what. One day I went and I met someone that told me, I can tell you how you can start a business without having any money. That was at the end of 2003.
That's super important for everyone to know.
Well, yeah, and that's what changed my life. And while I was getting all that information, call this supplier and do this and open a website to do search engine optimization. What is it? And they told me what it is. I said, I'm going to figure it out. And I feel like it's history in the making for me. But that was the day that I feel like changed my life. And I was able to have a path where I can start building a website. I learned how to code by myself. I learned how to do search engine optimization, where you can Google a search term and you can appear at the top without paying Google. And once the phone started ringing, I had to figure out how do I even sell. So it took me a little bit because I had to sell truckloads of excess inventory. It's a long story, but I was doing wholesale liquidation. I was calling stores like Macy's, CVS, and they would send me a list of what they have available for salvage to sell out. And that's what I did. And that's how I started the first business. A couple years later, it was about 10 million a year in sales. I had warehouses, I had office space, I had employees, and the second idea came, which was a monthly beauty subscription box. It was 2013, end of 2013, 2014. I launched a business called Boxy Charm. And that journey changed my life completely. It started within a couple of years, it got to about 407 million in sales in 2020. And that's when I sold the business to my competitors for 500 million. And that journey, I mean, when the journey you start and at the end of the path, you're just not the same person. What you've seen, what you learn changes you, transforms you.
So what would you say then? I mean, you have an amazing story from starting with no money. So basically, you're proving to everyone that there's no no's in life, that everything's possible. Your life can be limitless, boundless. So this is what I love about this story. And it's amazing because, again, you're just
I get to say something about money, though, and this is my challenge. Everyone thinks that you need to have money to make money. And my problem is, if I go and I play cards with someone, I can have a good hand, I can have a bad hand. It doesn't matter. If I know how to play, I can still win. It doesn't matter what the hand is, right? And you can see rich kids that lost all the money that the parents gave them. In fact, third generation is statistically where they lose it all. And you can see poor kids that can make it. It got nothing to do with that. It's the education in your head. It's how they build you up. And this is where I'm struggling myself to see how can I be a good of a father to educate my kids to be hunters. Don't worry about a trust fund or anything like that. Learn how to produce yourself. Be a good player. Know how to actually produce by yourself. It's all in your head. But if you take it all away from any entrepreneur who made it at least once or twice, you take it all away, you can take what's in our head. This is the knowledge. This is everything.
I agree 100% because someone who's made it from the bottom up, if they take everything away from you, you're going to make it back because you know how to make it back. And this is the most important thing for children. For me, it's always their education, their experiences, and teaching them how to make it. But they also watch from example too. Like, let's
100%.
say you have children. I have a son. We can tell them whatever we want, but they're only going to do what they see us do.
Yeah. I remember when we spoke a few days ago and you asked me, does it change you spiritually? Does the business changes you? And the question keeps coming to me because when I started my first company, if you were talking to Joe 2010 or Joe 2014, I was very sarcastic, anything related to meditation, anything related to spirituality. But today I see things different. Today I feel like your conscious and your subconscious are two different parts in your brain.
100%.
And you cannot enter your subconscious and train it like a muscle to be better. If I'm speaking to you and you're trying to rig me, you have a certain look, non-verbal communications that I need to listen to. If I'm all sarcastic about spirituality and I'm going to be full conscious, just neocortex, I'm going to block all those signals that my subconscious is telling me to be careful. That's there to protect me. But as you get more and more aware of why did I feel this way about that person? Why did I feel like that person is up for no? You start getting a lot more intuitive. And within one look, you can tell if the person is going to be serious, if he's interested, you can tell all that because you listen to your subconscious. And I feel like that journey builds you also spiritually, even though people like to look at wealthy people as in a negative connotation, people that are all about the numbers. No, it's not like that. You really transform in many ways. And that is one of the reasons we can do better than those who don't have that open mind for your subconscious.
I believe in open mind.
Coming up next, how it really feels to sell your business for $500 million. Next.
Hi, I'm Jess DeFeo, and I am a social media coach for women entrepreneurs who know they are on a mission to change the world with their business, but are struggling with how to market themselves authentically to their ideal client on social media. I can help you go from overwhelmed and confused on what to post to creating effective and impactful content that converts your followers into customers. Head to my website to grab your free course, Instagram 101 for Business, and learn the strategies I use to grow my business in just 6 months.
What's up? It's your girl Tisha Campbell. You will see me soon on the J Team with Miss JoJo Siwa playing a villain. And you are watching the Connect Network TV.
Welcome back, Miami. We're here in my home today with Yosef Martin. He is the handsome, successful Miami bachelor who exited and sold his company for $500 million. So what I'm going to ask him right now is, how does it feel to exit at $500 million?
It's like everyone asks me that question, and I can say that the excitement doesn't come to you when you cash out. I think we cashed out at the end of 2020, and you feel absolutely nothing, which is kind of disappointing. And I felt at first that I processed that for too long. From the moment you get the offer for your business until you actually get the check, it takes about 6 to 8 months. And in my mind, I thought, I already kind of like seen it so many times, so you don't get excited when you... But eventually it hit me one day, but it took me about 6 months, because it wasn't just cashing out, because I didn't really change my lifestyle. I'm a very simple person. What happened was I got divorced. I don't know if you heard about the virus, but they shut down the whole country, and then they reopened the country. So then I found myself one day sitting down on the couch saying, I kind of don't have to manage hundreds of people. I got out of it. I'm single. Beautiful day. Restaurants are open in Miami. Beautiful life. That's when it all hit me at once. That was the day when I said, this is f***ing awesome.
It's amazing.
But it took me a while. I had to buy a new house, I had to move, all that stuff, get good divorce, because my ex is my best friend. And it just, life is awesome. Money was just a small piece of it.
I believe that, as Deepak Chopra says, money is 10% of your happiness.
Oh.
And I 100%
Yes,
believe
100%.
that, because like I was happy before when I just had my studio. I believe happiness comes within, and people need to find their personal happiness within themselves. Also, everybody's success is different for everybody. So I want to ask you, what does success mean for you?
I never really broke it down for myself, and I think if I have to say it every time, success is not, I am successful today where I am. No, I don't see it like this. If I'm trying to play a video game and I define, okay, I did good on the game, right? I feel like for me it's in smaller increments, because I like to build stuff. And I feel every time that the success is what I just learned. If I was trying to build a website in 2004 so I can sell some products online, and I was successfully building a nice template for the first time, and I was able to understand the code, that was a success. So it's a lot of little increment achievements that makes you overall complete, that you wake up doing something productive. And I feel like as a bigger part is knowing that you have something to wake up for, because you feel you're productive, you have a self-actualization.
It's a journey.
Make you very...
It's a journey.
Yeah, that would be a self journey, and that's a success for me, that I can keep that mindset every day. So
I love that. I mean, and also happiness.
Yes, it keeps you happy, right? Now, happiness is a broad thing, but if you're a pessimistic person, money is not going to make you happy. It's going to make you comfortable. Money is going to make you happy if you're already happy, and you're going to just amplify everything you have. That's
So guys, let's strip down and get down to the naked truth with Yosef Martin from Boxy Charm. So I want to ask you, Joseph, did success and wealth and this journey affect your marriage?
No. The marriage had its own life, and I think, if anything, together with Patty was actually a powerhouse when we were doing things together. And even after we broke up, we'll call each other about ideas, we'll sit down, we have, that did not affect it. Just marriage sometimes don't work, but overall I think it was definitely important for me to have her on my side building Boxy Charm.
You know what? I love that, because I always say a marriage is just a repositioning of a relationship. It's still death do you part, but you each have your own life, you work together, and you're still an amazing team.
Yes.
And you're always going to be there for her.
100%.
So I love that. So I want to ask you, so what's your next venture? Like, what are you working on right now?
So I have a podcast called Liquidity and Liquor. That's more leisure. I do it with Scott DeCleary. And we bring in a lot of interesting people. We talk about our journey, how we made this to that point, but also other amazing people. This is more, it started at first for me as a question myself. How did I ended up in my place? It started in Clubhouse. I was using the app during COVID time, and it was fun because there were lots of panel discussions, and you hear a lot of people, and you find through other people's stories information about yourself. That kind of like opens up things that you never thought about telling yourself. The story needs to be told first to yourself, then you tell this to someone else. And when I mean, Clubhouse is still around, but I feel like when they open up the country, the app conversation died, and then
Exactly.
I decided to go into podcasting, and it was amazing. It was really fun. That's leisure. I do other things, but I don't tend to talk about what I do until it's big enough, and then I'll say, by the way, that's mine. So, in the future, you'll hear some more.
So you keep it a secret until you do it.
It's not a
like
secret.
that.
I feel like it's a game, right? I mean, for me, business is a video game, and money is just a way to keep score. And I enjoy waking up playing my video game, right? It just depends who do you want to date. Do you want to date a guy that really play video games, or someone that actually build a business and feels like that's his leisure?
So I want to ask you, how important is relationships in business?
It's not important. It's really it's how you are in relationship. If your business shatter your relationship, that is absolutely possible. You need to make a decision. What is more important right now in my life? And a lot of people do it. You can have career women that decide to keep their career forever, and eventually they find themselves at a certain age that they said, all right, now I want to sell, and that's what they settle. Same with men. It's no different. And we tend to see it in the negative side, but it's really, what is your passion? You're more interested in the person that you're with, or I feel like the perfect relationship is a relationship when you can come home and discuss what you do, and you bring that person into your world, and that makes a lot of impact. That's just, for me, what's important.
I love that, and I agree with that 100%.
Coming up next, all entrepreneurs have fears and doubts. What are Yosef's? Find out after the break.
Hi guys, it's Ty Hanner. Please check out my new book, Makeover from Within, and you're watching the Connect Network.
I'm Chris Lamont. I'm Calvin Lamont, and we are from HETV's Buy to Build It, and you can follow us on Instagram at the Chris Lamont and at the Calvin Lamont, and we're excited to be here. Find us on the Connect Network TV. Stay tuned.
At Emily Miller Aesthetic Medicine, we take 10 years off your face without looking like you've had work done. How we do this is, as experts in the world's #1 medical grade skincare line, we craft a program unique to you that's going to transform your skin. For a virtual skincare consultation and our online store, visit emily-rn.com and use the code CONNECT for 10% off your purchase.
Want to be a legit party planner but don't know how? Partypreneurs 101 is for you. A 10-week online course unlike any other. Get paid to do what you love and be your own boss. Learn more at thepartypreneurschool.com.
Are you ready to bring your brand to television? Listen, it is possible, and it's possible without pitching to all of the different networks across the country, across the world, and begging for a seat at their table. Listen, come check us out on The Connect Show. We broadcast on the CW network every single week, reaching more than 2 million households. And what we do is help you build and promote and market your brand in front of an audience that actually has a pocketbook. They actually want to spend money and better themselves, better their strategies, their systems. We focus on women in business and female entrepreneurs. So if you are building a brand that you know has the potential to be so much bigger, or if you're prepared and ready to scale, join us today. You can register to be a guest at theconnectonline.com.
Hi there, I'm Kayla Kraft. I help women make money and increase their net worth. You can find me at mommymillionaire.co, and you can watch me on the Connect Network TV. Make sure to tune in.
Welcome back to Life by Design, and here we have the founder of Boxy Charm, Yosef Martin. So we want to talk about fears and doubts. So
I had a lot. I mean, everyone that enters a business has some fears and doubts before you start. I can tell you that it doesn't end. I had a makeup company technically, even though I didn't produce the makeup. It was a makeup box with a bunch of products, and I'm a guy with a beard coming from Israel, ex-army, in Miami, where the makeup industry is a very cliquish industry, though all mostly based in New York. It's a women's world. And you go in and you find out they're heavily corporate. They have their own lingo. They ask you questions like, who are you? What are you here to change? What's the DNA of your company? All things I've never thought about. And so at first you ask yourself, am I actually, it's over my head over here? But as long as you understand that you're still making critical decisions, you think about what's important and urgent better than other companies that are doing exactly the same because they came from that industry, because most of those are industry people, their mindset is very corporate mindset. You come in as an entrepreneur, you are a disruptor because you don't think like them. And eventually when you start showing results, you break that glass ceiling and you understand now, it's kind of like M&M for me. It's kind of like you're first going into an urban culture and no one respects you, but suddenly you're special. It's the same exact. You're suddenly the guy that wasn't supposed to be there, but suddenly because you are from Miami, because you have a beard, because you're not a woman.
Disruptor.
Now we want a piece of you. And then eventually when you hit a certain size of 100 million in sales, then you're like, okay, now everyone looks at you and now they show respect. And that was when things changed. And also within myself, I knew that I needed to transform from having the doubt, which was healthy in the beginning. You do need that. To now I got back my confidence where I was.
So what's the difference? How does it feel from going from 0 to 50 million or 50 million to 500 million?
It's interesting. Yeah, it's you don't realize when you get to 20 million, you think you're untouchable. You're great. You're doing. And someone goes and tells me, a $50 million business is not a $100 million business, or it's not $500 million business, and I didn't realize why. I realized as I got to the other side why it's a completely different business. You have to break that shell and get uncomfortable again, because at least for me, the challenge was tiering the organization. Up until 50, just like you said, we were very flat. It was me and two other people managing lots of people, right? We needed to tier the organization. To get to 500, it needed to be tiered. Me, C-level, VPs, directors, all that. That was the most challenging part. And to structure it by keep it non-corporate, startup-ish, thinking only about what's important without having committees, without having all those bureaucratical BS that corporations have, but still have a flow where we can be organized enough and not fall apart. You have to go through that transformation.
So what companies do you look up today that inspired you?
Oh, it's easy for me. Apple, I mean, when I started, I remember looking at the Apple. It started with the iPad, the music part, right? And the reason I was inspired because the iPad they never promoted that. It was just a discussion. I was on Reddit and Dig. All the social media bookmarks at the time didn't stop talking about the iPad. Then they moved into iPhone, and everything was just so good. And I remember that one day there was a conference and I spoke to this lady and she told me, you need to chase the cool factor. You need to make sure you're cool. And how do you get your company to be cool? If you're cool, everyone discusses your company. Everyone wants to be part of your company. It creates a certain image. And I told myself, this is what Apple is. Years later, when I saw the movie Steve Jobs, it was literally some line that they use. We need to be cool again. The entire time running my company, every discussion we had was it needs to end with us being cool. What do we need to be cool? And you learn that means we cannot be bureaucratical. If I'm going to have all those bureaucratical meetings, everything is important? No. Some things are important and some are more important than others and some are urgent. Those are the ones we can discuss. That's what we're going to build. I don't need to build too many things at once. I have 1 or 2 things I'm going to do per year, but I'll make the most important things. And at the end, we're going to be cool. And that was making us to a point that we worked with Kylie Jenner, with Kim Kardashian. They ended up wanting to work with us, and everyone else wanted a piece of Boxy Charm because we were cool. You talk about us, even if you promote us, you get the cool company that want to work with you. It was very important. And it all started with Apple.
So before you go, we have a lot of entrepreneurs that they're in a business and sometimes they're feeling stuck and maybe they got too comfortable. So tell us about that.
I mean, it happened to me too. It was a moment where you feel like you're not going anywhere, but you're okay because you're doing so much better than what you did a couple of years ago. And you feel, I'm amazing, right? But I guess the best way to get around this is to change your cycle of this circle of friends, and or at least go around a couple of people that are doing much better than you, that give you that aha moment and make you understand that it's all relative where you're at, and that's going to give you the first motivation. And don't get me wrong, I mean, you can go and say, well, I hear about Elon Musk all the time, it's big. It's not going to give you motivation. It's an unachievable goal rate for most people. But if you have someone around you that does something similar, but 2-3 times more than you do, then that's going to be your more motivation, because it's going to be more achievable. You can humanize that person and you can go further. And for me, it was an important part. And once I did this one time, I never went back. I always started looking at those who do better than me and gave myself motivation to proceed.
But you know, I heard on your podcast, it was so true what you said once. This is what he said, what successful people do. They share their contacts. They want to help you.
Always.
And always surrounding yourself with people that are more successful than you. They're giving you new information, new ideas. But you said that to me in your podcast, and it's so true.
Yes.
They want to help out all the time. They're there for you. They connect you. They live in abundance instead of lack, and they're constantly sharing their contacts and wanting to help you.
Yeah, it depends who your friends are. If you're sitting down talking opportunities and ideas, those are the right group of friends. If you sit down and you just talk about the last soccer game and that's it, those conversations, you go, you sleep, you think about that, you wake up without any drive, any ambition. You want to go and be around those people. This is what we mostly talk about on the podcast.
Yeah, for me, I love talking about creation. What have you learned? What experiences have you done? It's always about living, learning, and evolving and becoming like the best version of yourself. So Joseph, how can people follow you, keep up with you, hear your podcast?
Sure. So my podcast is Liquidity and Liquor. We're everywhere. It's on Apple and Spotify. And you can also follow me at YFL Martin on every platform.
Coming up next week, Monica Suleski sits down with finance guru David Cassier. Next week on Life by Design.